Welcome everyone to our live stream webinar today. Yes, we're excited, looking forward to talking about how to invite engagement with your social media content. One thing that we're seeing quite a bit is wanting to make sure that, as we see a lot of social media content that comes out of particularly mortgage and real estate, we're wanting to make sure that we help everyone create content that is designed to engage people. A lot of times we see content that is great, but it just could use a little extra help. So, looking forward to discussing this today. By brief introduction, my name is Brandon Treadway. I'm the Director of Growth here at SocialCoach. Ashley, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Music. I'm the Director of Social Media here at SocialCoach, and we're very excited to be chatting with you today.
Yeah.
And we have Alexis.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll continue. I'm Alexis Gravely. I am over customer success here at SocialCoach, and we are very excited to be here and very excited to have you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, looking forward to talking about engagement. So, let's start off by kind of posing the question, what is engagement? And I see a lot of people I think have a pretty good idea of engagement, but engagement just in real simple terms are actions from your audience that signal that your content is connecting with the audience that you're posting for. Things like likes, comments, shares, saves, mentions. But when we talk about short form video or video, watch time on those videos also is a form of engagement. It's something that the platforms are looking for to make sure that the content that you're creating is connecting with your audience and that they are kind of connecting back with you. Looking at the importance of engagement, this is, and you will hear us say this all the time. Engagement is the number one single most important key to success on social media. If you're not posting something that people are willing to engage with, then you are not posting something of value. What you're posting is not working, it's not connecting. And so that engagement is a great kind of feedback tool for you as you're posting your social media content to understand whether or not the content that you are creating is connecting with the audience and is kind of meeting them where they are at. It's also important because if you are not getting engagement on your content, you are not going to get reach. The platforms are looking to push content that is drawing engagement because the platforms want content that keeps people on the app. TikTok, Instagram, all these platforms want people to stay on those apps as long as possible. And in their mind, if someone's not engaging with content, there's no reason for them to stay. Therefore, they will suppress content that is not getting enough engagement in order to promote content that is. This quote here from at the bottom here from Facebook, I think, is particularly interesting, and kind of how they view engagement and its role within kind of the framework of the feed, which is that interacting with people is associated with a greater sense of well-being, while on the other hand, passively reading or watching without interacting with others tends to make people feel worse. At Facebook, they've kind of determined that as people scroll on Facebook, and they're not engaging with content, that means that the stuff that they are seeing does not fit what they are wanting, what they're looking for. And because of that, they are, in Facebook's terms, they tend to feel worse than if they find content that makes them want to connect, comment, like, particularly share. That's where those things are absolutely crucial. So, with those things in mind, how do we craft content that earns engagement? Because if you want to get engagement, we need to find a way to create the content that is designed to get that engagement, because there's a massive difference. The first thing is to emphasize creating short form video. This is the single most engaging style of content on any social platform right now. And the statistics continue to prove this over and over again. 75% of social media users have said that they prefer looking at and watching video over text and images. They want video to come through their feed. 90-second videos tend to have a 50% higher retention rate than anything longer than that. So keeping those videos short to that 90 seconds, which allows you to fit them into a reel. It's a quick TikTok video, if you're posting on Facebook or even LinkedIn, like those videos, if you keep it at that 90 seconds, you're already kind of playing in an arena that allows for higher retention, which again is another form of engagement. And these video feeds and the algorithms, they are wanting content to go to new audiences. And what we're finding is that they're more willing to push that content to audiences rather than the static posts. Just throwing up an image um, doesn't work the same way anymore. Just yesterday, Ashley, Alexis, and myself, we were scrolling through a feed of one um, loan officer or I think a banker, and he had been posting social media. He'd been on social media for a long time. And as we were looking through his feed, we basically went from like a year ago up to now. And you could see the trajectory of his social media reach and engagement in that as he was posting, these like branded images of like, low rates or whatever, did you know type content that was just images, he'd get 3, 4 likes, maybe a comment. But then as he started to kind of shift a little bit more towards creating a video here or a video there, you would see the jump from 4 likes to 24 likes. And then they'd
Mhm.
go back down to 6 to 8. And then he'd post another video and it'd jump up to 30 likes. And now he's posting exclusively video content and he is, nearing 100 likes on every single video.
Mhm.
And
And over 2,000 views. And I think to me, that's the not more important part, but that's the part to pay attention to. Because if you don't have 2,000 followers, but you're getting 2,000 views, it means that they're
that's
starting to push that to new
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
exactly.
And I also want to throw out, not all of his videos were done by a professional editing team. There were some of them he just got out there and did on his own because he saw a trend that he liked. So I think that's something when you think that you have to have a professional team or want to pay for that, sometimes organic stuff works just as well. So that's another thing that we all looked at and said, that's an interesting piece, is that some of his best videos were the ones that he just threw together really quickly too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also important, and you can see that he's doing this in his best performing videos, is to create short form videos specifically. There's a lot of people who really like the approach of filming a 30-minute podcast, quote unquote, and then chopping up that podcast into a bunch of 90-second segments that they can utilize on social media. What I have found in my own personal content, in our content here at Social Coach, and also in kind of what the data is telling us, is that creating videos that feel like, this 90 seconds is the beginning, middle, and end of one video. It feels like a whole piece. Those videos tend to do so much better. And that if you're creating that short form video specifically, saying, all right, this is the idea, 90 seconds, let's go. You're giving it an entire piece to someone, an entire piece to your audience, rather than, yeah, I'll just kind of chop this up and put it out there. It does feel like a little bit of, unheated leftovers sometimes, I think.
Mhm. Well, and I think what you've said before too, what happens is in an hour-long conversation, you end up talking about things that you then refer back to. So if you're taking an initial 90-second clip, maybe that clip works, but then you're taking a clip from 20, 30 minutes later, and in it, you're kind of circling back to something or you're referencing it, but it's not really clear in the clip. So it makes your conversations and the clips themselves harder to follow. Whereas even if you do something like, I know we've done this before, where we choose a bunch of topics and we'll say, oh, we're going to record for a block of time, but we won't do a continuous conversation. We'll say, let's talk about this topic for however long, maybe 5 minutes, stop. And then we'll take that later and cut it down into 1 or 2 videos because it's about the same topic. And then okay, now we're done with that topic. Let's move on. Let's talk about another topic for 3 to 5 minutes and then see what we can get from that. And I think that works better. And like you said, that's more deliberate in creating that short form. And it can still be conversational. It doesn't have to be, a really specific format, but then it prevents you from taking just really obvious clips of a random conversation and then posting it and then not getting engagement on that.
Yeah, I totally. And I think that it's important to kind of like you're saying, our experience is that instead of having this super long conversation, we are very like, here's the question, let's talk about this, and it's designed so that we are creating this section is this video. This section is this video. Like we're starting with the short form video in mind rather than I'm just going to record this and then we'll pull out whatever makes sense.
Right.
Okay. So you're creating your video. Starting strong. This is so crucial. The first 5 seconds of your video can honestly make or break your entire video. Watch time factors directly into your post performance and your post reach. If TikTok or Instagram or whatever platform is seeing that people are getting your video and then swiping immediately away in the first couple of seconds, that is going to impact the reach and performance of your post. So it's so crucial to grab the attention of your audience as best as you can in that first 5 seconds. One of the best ways to do that is just get right into the point. If you're making a video about, credit scores, like just get into it. Don't introduce yourself. Don't say where you're from, where you work. Like, don't give us the bank. Just say, let's talk about credit scores and get right into it.
I even say sometimes it's better to cut any of that, like, "Hey, homeowners, let's dive in." Like, if you it's hard in the moment and, live, it's gonna be harder, but if you can cut your videos, it's almost like if you say that, just cut right to the start of your second sentence. Because if you're starting mid-conversation, that's what's gonna stop people from scrolling. They're gonna feel like, "Oh, hang on, like, we're already mid-conversation." If you pause at all, I always tell people this, pauses are the biggest death to video performance, because every time you even stop to take a breath, it gives people a moment to think and to scroll, and
Mhm.
you're gonna lose people. So
Do
cut
I
out.
care? Do I want to keep watching this? Is it worth it?
Right, and it's like, we all have to take a breath, but if you can cut that out and just jump cut between all of your sentences, that's gonna be a lot easier, and the number one thing is gonna be that introduction at the beginning. If you stop to go, "Hi, everybody, I'm Ashley," and scroll, it's like, "I don't know, I don't care, I don't know what this is about, why would I stay?" Whereas
Mhm.
if you just say, Credit score sucks, let's talk about it," I'm gonna be like, "Oh, does it? Hang on, I'm invested."
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. That's that's where I like that point a lot in the introduction. If you really feel the need, do it at the end, not the beginning.
Mhm. Yeah, just getting right into it. It just puts people right into your video, and it people don't want their time wasted. They want to just roll right into it. We've talked about how it feels almost as if people are coming mid conversation rather than kind of the emotional toll of creating a new um, like starting a new conversation with someone can be
Yes.
like a little bit socially exhausting, but
Yep.
Mhm.
coming into something is so much easier, and those videos can really make it feel that way.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. It's like when you walk in and it feels like, "Oh, I have to hi, I'm so and so." It's like meeting a new friend. You feel like you have to go through the small talk, whereas when someone's treating it like they're already FaceTiming you and your best friends, and they're like, "Dude, the story I heard today from this client is crazy." And then they just go into it, you already feel like, "Oh, we're already close and we're friends. I don't have to do any mental work. I'm just here to listen."
Yeah.
Yeah. A good way to think about it for loan officers is the number one thing I tell them is your conversations you're having with your borrowers are the best content that you can put out there. It's informative. It's
Mhm.
typically, specific to a certain group or a certain person. And when you get to that point, you're having those conversations about the loan itself. You already know who they are. You've already said the hays. So just go right into the point, talk about exactly, what you talked about yesterday with Mary homeowner, and you wanted to talk about their bad credit score and how we can't get a loan today, but we can fix it in the long term. It's just not a right now situation. So
Hmm.
that's a great way to think about it. You already know this person. If they're stopping, they probably feel a connection with whatever topic you're talking about.
Mhm.
Totally. Um, yeah. Moving on here. So, like, on still on that topic of starting strong, I see a lot of videos in the industry of people where bad audio, bad lighting, where it starts and I'm like, I can't really see who this person is. It doesn't feel like uh, setting the stage for a video with good lighting and good audio shows that you care. Like it shows that you're like working to put a little bit of effort into this. And it doesn't have to be fancy.
Mhm.
There's so many great videos that are just in someone's car. But the thing about a car is that it has great lighting and the audio is relatively quiet around you. It gives you like a nice little sound booth. So making sure that when you do film that video, good lighting, good audio is kind of like this visual hook. It's like that there's no reason for me to scroll away, you know?
It's like,
So,
don't give people an excuse to scroll before they've even heard what you're gonna talk about. Because if they scroll and they see and it's like, "I can't even tell what this is," scroll. But if they can see, "Oh, there's a person, they're talking to me," and then maybe with the first sentence or 2, that's where the, verbal hook comes in, where you're saying, "This is what I'm talking about and why you should stick around." But don't, cut kill your content before they've even had the chance to see what it's about. So, the
yeah, I
lighting.
used to film a lot of my personal videos, at night just because like, it made like, that's when I had the most time was at night, and so I would just, like, have my light on in my office, but, like, my light's not great in here, um, and so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna start filming videos on Saturday, Sunday afternoons, and, during lunch." And sit in front of my window, basically the same spot I'm sitting right here, open my blinds a little bit, and then just record here. Changed the look and feel of my videos immediately because it felt like I was putting more effort into it. And my phone camera responds better to that lighting than it
Mhm.
does the lighting at night. And so it just, the whole video looks better.
Yes, for anyone who needs to know, good lighting, the light should be in front of you and pointed at you, which sounds I feel like that sounds basic, but a lot of people have the light behind them because they think, "Oh, like, the light should be where the camera is," but if the light's behind you, you're a silhouette. We cannot see your face, and I think that's the biggest mistake I see is people with the light behind them. It's like, no, face the light. And we actually have a reel up on our Instagram and our TikTok that shows my favorite hack for finding good lighting is film your hand out in front of you and just like spin around the room, and you'll see when it's shadowed and when it doesn't look good versus when the light's on your hand and you're like, oh, okay, that's a lot brighter. Then just stand where your hand is and face the same way. And that's the easiest way that I use. When you're outside and the shadows are weird, I just use that all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Moving on here, let's talk about hooks.
Yay.
Um, we talk about starting strong. One of the best ways, probably the best way to start strong in a video is with a good hook.
Mhm.
And I see a lot of people talk about hooks. Oh, you got to come up with the best hook. But I feel like people either get too specific or they get too broad with hooks. And I feel like generally discussing hooks helps people understand what they are so you can come up with your own. So a hook is there to make your video immediately intriguing. It's something that, as we say, like it stops the scroll, gives
Mhm.
people a reason to want to continue watching the video that you're putting out there. And if you go through all the hard work making this video, you want people to stop so that they'll see it. And I think that there's two types of hooks. You have visual and you have verbal. Those visual hooks is something that happens on screen where you go, I need to see what this is. I need to see how this plays out. Um, I was just thinking about this yesterday as I was leaving the grocery store. Um, I was thinking about how many people, how many content creators that basically like they like a content farm, like they just like make a bunch of like fake videos and
Mhm.
their entire goal is just to get views, get views. Um, how many of them do plane videos, like fake plane fights, fake plane
Yes.
arguments, and you can rent out a plane, like a fake plane for, 1,000 bucks an hour or something like that. And they'll go and film a bunch of like people arguing on a plane. People arguing on a plane, immediate hook. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's happening on this airplane? Who's at fault? What's going on?
Mhm.
And it's just something that, obviously you can't replicate here, but it's something that, to illustrate the point, it's something that when I see it, I immediately am hooked. I want to continue watching. And I find myself watching so many of these dumb, clearly fake videos just because I'm like, is this real or not? And usually I could tell halfway through, but it's
Right.
something that makes you go, I need to keep watching this. So to apply
Mhm.
it here, something of like holding something up, pointing to something,
Mhm.
having something written on a whiteboard where you can point to it
Love
and say, you know, this, that, and the other. You can, point to
that.
something that someone can gravitate to when they see your video immediately. That's a visual hook, and a verbal hook is something that you're saying that's going to demand interest. You've said a couple of them already, Ashley. Your credit score sucks. Here's why.
That's all.
Stop doing blank and then
Mhm.
saying, these hooks are great where you tell someone something that feels counterintuitive, like stop paying your minimum payment on your credit card. But hold on, let me tell you what I mean. Because when you say that, I go, why would I stop paying my minimum payment?
Right.
But
That seems like a
what you're
bad
saying
idea.
is like, let's talk about a buy down strategy or something like that, right?
Mhm.
That's a good hook. Um, one like I don't see anyone talking about these 3 secrets to home ownership.
Mhm.
Let me run through them for you real quick. Those are great hooks. For me, I always use questions as a hook. That's my personal preference. Um, and like something like if I'm talking about credits and credit cards or something, what's the best credit card to improve your credit score? Like if I
Mhm.
see that, I'm like, yeah, I'm watching this. I'm gonna watch that video.
Yes. And I like these conversational ones too, because I think when it's so obviously kind of like clickbait, like when you can hear it as you're saying it, like these are the top 3 most amazing tricks to get your credit score. It's like, no, okay, you're not going to tell me anything new. But if you're like,
Yeah.
hey, these are my hacks for how to, get your credit score up quickly. It's like, oh, maybe you know something because it's personal and it's on a smaller scale. You're not claiming to be reinventing the wheel or showing me anything amazing, but maybe you have an idea that I haven't tried yet, and I'm a little bit invested because you seem like you know what you're talking about.
And because you're in the industry, you're clearly an insider. You work with people in this realm all the time. So why
Mhm.
wouldn't you know some things that I don't? I'm more willing to
Right.
listen to you. And the best part is if you tell me something that I don't know that I feel like I can use, not only am I going to like the video, probably save it to come back to you. I'll probably share it with, in my case, like if I saw something like that, I would share it with my wife, but I'll probably follow you too. Like if you're sharing these great financial tips, if you're helping me, improve my credit score, you're helping me, prep for a home, I'm going to follow you. Like if you got more of this, like I'm in. So those types of things are great. And I love what you're saying about, getting away from the like blatant hooks. Like I
Mhm.
think finding ones that feel natural rather than, you know, like the one that you said, I can't
Like,
remember.
claiming the best thing ever. That's just the thing that always gets me when people are like, "I have the ultimate hack," and you're like, "No, you don't," moving on. But if you can make it like, I think that's the thing about everyone, when you want to do well on social media, you kind of want to go you initially aimed like, I want to go viral, I want my video to blow up, I want to do this. But I think in doing that sometimes you overshoot or it comes off as disingenuous. And the biggest thing you can do, especially in our industry where you're a professional, you're an expert, and your goal is to help home buyers, is your goal really to go viral? Like, maybe could that help you? Maybe. But your real goal is to get quality clients and quality leads through social media, right? So doing that, so claiming to have the best thing ever, maybe that'll get you a client or two, but are they going to be quality? I don't know. But if you're talking more in a conversational, you're saying, hey, this is what, like the same question 3 different clients have asked me this week. Let's answer it and let's talk about why no one knows this coming into the process. Then you're going to get those people who are like, yeah, I had that question too, but I felt stupid asking it. So now you've answered it. And then maybe I feel comfortable commenting a different question, or maybe I feel comfortable following you, or maybe it's like, hey, okay, if I'm ready to buy a home after this, once you've answered this question for me, you answered it. So maybe I'm going to ask you what my next step should be. And I think that's a more natural way to engage. And you don't need tens of thousands of people to see. I mean, it's always great, right? If you get
Yeah,
your video that
doesn't
big,
hurt.
doesn't hurt. But I think if you're more genuine about it, you can see a lot more conversion and a lot more turnover, even without needing to get massive amounts of views.
Hmm.
Like I think our client Tim Pascarella, he said that he hadn't done, what was it, Alexis, something, and he hadn't done anything for a year, and then he
Yeah,
started doing some
he was.
videos.
Yeah, he was a non-producing manager for a long time and got back into producing and started posting videos. And what was it in March? He did like 6 loans, all from social media, which is
Yeah, he got like
incredible.
12 leads, closed 8 of them, and he was like, "Wow, like, I just made a few videos," and his videos have, like, 2,000 views, 3,000 views, like, a couple of maybe more, but, like, you wouldn't look at it and go, "Oh, this guy is, like, killing the game." He's
Yeah,
not an influencer. He's not, but he's connecting with people and making
yeah,
people want to work with him, and
The
that's what's
biggest thing, yeah, the biggest thing is, that I talk about this all the time. Stop trying to go viral, which is, what we're saying,
yeah.
because this industry is such a
yeah.
personable industry that if you can create the video that fits and meets the needs of 10 people,
Mhm.
and if
Yep.
and 3 of those people go, "Hey, I can we get on the phone?"
Yeah.
That's that's money. Like, that's exactly what we're looking for here.
The number
Uh,
one thing I ask every single one of the clients that I get on the phone with daily is, how long have you been in the industry? 9 times out of 10, it's more than 10 years. 9 times out of 10. And my response to them is, you have something no one else has in your little bubble, and that is experience. So your experience in the mortgage industry with one of the most personable, typically one of the biggest purchases anyone ever makes, they want to find someone with knowledge, with education, someone who can help them. And I think that is the number one key in putting out content for real estate professionals is, you have experience.
Mhm.
Tell
And
everybody
you
about
have the stories. You
it. Yeah.
have the, "Hey, I had a client who did this, and this is why you shouldn't." And
Yep.
not to make anyone feel bad, but to teach people, "Hey,
Mhm.
you might not know that buying a PS5 can tank your loan and, like, cause you to not close because it pushes you over your debt to income ratio limit," or whatever. Like,
mhm.
if you can find a way to take a point or take a common thing in your experience, make it into a story, kind of put a spin on it, like, add this hook, as we've been talking about, to just get people's attention, they're gonna feel like, "Hey, okay, I understand what's going on. I know who to talk to, and that person's gonna be you."
My favorite story is, don't take out a loan for $25,000 to furnish the home that you no longer qualify for. It's my favorite. It's my
That's
favorite one.
always a good lesson.
Oh, goodness.
All right, let's see here. All right, so to piggyback off what we've been talking about around hooks, and like I mentioned, I love using questions as the hook. I think that questions in general, everywhere, are super, super important and super valuable when it comes to driving engagement. Asking questions inherently invites engagement, it's inviting answers. You're asking people a question, you're going to get some answers back. And it is that natural hook. If I ask you a question, if I walked up to you just on the street, said, "Hey, where is the best burger place around here?" You're probably going to have an answer. "What's the best pizza around here?" You're going to have an answer. Um, and the other thing is, people love giving their answers, especially something like, if you come up to me, I can tell you the best pizza place around me. I got the answer ready to go, and I want to share it, especially because my pizza place, like, is not a chain. I think it's great. And so the same thing applies here. People want to share their own personal experiences. And if you're asking questions that are geared towards inviting that engagement, inviting people to give you those answers, you're going to get engagement. And that engagement is going to snowball to where more people will see that question and more people will answer it. So
Mhm.
finding questions that people are asking you and being able to turn those into a question that you can pose in your video is great. You mentioned, Ashley, you kind of said, like, "Oh, I got this question 3 times from someone today." Like, imagine if you just started off your video with that question and then saying, "I got this question 3 times from 3 different clients and I've got the answer."
Right. "Can
That
I buy
is
a home
such
with a credit score of 530? Let's talk about it. 3 clients have asked me this week. Let's talk about it. Maybe the answer is not right away, but here's how you're gonna get there." That's
exactly.
and it makes it feel like you said, we're tying in the experience, the relatability, the authenticity, and it's making people go, "Oh, well, if I have a better score, like, can I do it sooner? Can I do it quicker? Like, am I good?" Like, it makes people wanna say, "Okay, either I relate to this and that's me, or I'm similar, but I still need a more specific answer." So then they comment and they engage. And that's what you want. You want to foster that engagement.
Exactly. So, finding a question that that everyone feels like they can have an answer to. The question I've got here: what is the biggest struggle that you're currently running into with buying a home? And then you can get answers from people, but then also give an example in that case of how you've helped someone. Starting off your video with the hook of, "What's the biggest struggle that you're running into with buying a home?" This week, I met with 3 different people. Here are the 3 biggest struggles that I see people running into and how I would solve each one of those. Why
Mhm.
would I not watch that video? Why would I not save it, share
I
it?
would watch
Like,
that. I'm someone who, like, I don't believe I'm gonna be buying a house in the near future, but part of me wants to, and so I would sit and watch that to be like, "Hey, when I get to that point, whenever that is, I wanna be educated, I wanna know what I'm doing," and maybe it's also because 'cause I'm part of the industry, but I know a lot of people my age do really care about being financially educated because we see that it's sometimes challenging, and so we wanna help ourselves, and we wanna be coming to the table as smart consumers and smart people who are ready and prepared. So if you can give us the answers in video and we can say, you say, "Okay, do these 5 things before you're ready to buy home and then come talk to me." I'm going to be the person who's going to do those 5 things and show up with all my paperwork and go, "Okay, I want to buy a house. Tell me what to do
ready
now."
to go.
Tell me how much I can buy. Tell me what to do. What's my next step? And then that makes me the best client for you, right? Like as a loan officer, isn't that the dream scenario? Like,
Yeah. And if you, to follow with this question, let's say I pose this in a video. What's the biggest struggle you're running into with buying a home? 15 people comment with their biggest struggle. I can now respond to each of those 15 people and say,
look at
here's
you.
what I think I can help you out. I'm going to send you a DM. I
Hmm.
just got 15 leads just by asking one question,
Hmm.
you know?
Yes, and
And
even if they're not necessarily in your local area, you can connect them with other people that's helping out your peers, and then they're more likely to come to you. Like it
Mhm.
all helps with your network and with exposure and with engagement.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I think that asking questions is so valuable when it comes to getting engagement because again, you're inherently inviting it. So like, and it gives you an opportunity to um, turn that into a lead. The questions that you can get from people are generally the questions that are roadblocks to them want like
Mhm.
being able to purchase a home, being able to file for a loan, like all of those things. And if you can answer those, like you said, what are the 10 here are the 10 things that people need. If you could
Mhm.
bring all those to me, we don't have to go through all the rigmarole of all these other things. Like you've already bringing me the stuff that you need. Like let's just get down to it, you know?
Right? And it's that rule that you always heard about in school. If one person is commenting and is raising their hand and saying, "This is my issue," there are 10 or 15 people behind them facing the same thing who just aren't going to comment because they're shy or they don't feel like engaging, but they're going to go read those comments. And if you've answered and you've given them a video or you've written out the answer in the comments and given them that answer, then they still might reach out to you, even if they never would have commented themselves, because now you've answered a question that they didn't even need to ask, which is
Mhm.
sometimes even more valuable.
And on top of that, knowing where to ask the question. This is where I would say you should be asking the question. Ask the question in the beginning of your video, ask the question at the end of your video, ask the question um in your like thumbnail, ask the question in your caption, and
Yeah.
after you post your video, I do this with every video. Post your
Yes.
video and then comment that same question in the comments.
As the
You
first
will
comment.
as the first comment, you'll be surprised by how many people respond to your comment with their answer as opposed to just commenting their answer. The difference is huge.
Well, I think it's because a lot of people, if you start with the question, by the time you get to the end of the video, people have kind of forgotten to answer it. And then two, when I've noticed, even when I open up a video, right, I'm watching on TikTok or whatever, and then I go to the comments, the caption isn't always displayed as the first thing. So
Mhm,
sometimes it's hard to find the caption and to see it and to read the whole thing unless you're really seeking it out. So if you comment, your question is the first comment. When I'm reading the comments while I'm watching the video, because I do that all the time, I'm seeing it and I'm answering as the video is happening while I'm listening. And then two, that also helps get you additional engagement because you're starting the ball rolling with comments. And then whatever platform you're on is saying, oh, someone's commenting. Okay, like let's push this video a bit more. So it only ever helps. I always say it's no longer embarrassing to like, save, share, comment on your own posts. People get it. Just if you do it well, no one's going to look at you and go, that oh, they commented on their own thing. That
just do the one comment to get the ball rolling, and then
yes,
after that,
don't overdo it.
respond to comments that are coming in.
Yeah,
But
don't like
that
comment
that
15 times
first
on your own post. Then I'd
yeah,
be like, what are you doing?
and that first question, as let's say you ask the question. And, I'm this way. If I see a video with no comments, like especially on TikTok, I think that comments are such a valuable part of the TikTok experience.
Mhm.
They're often very funny, very insightful. And so a lot of times as I'm listening to someone just like yap on screen, I will open the comments and I will go through. And that's something I see from the comments on my videos all the time is how many people will respond with a comment and then like I will say the thing that they said in the comments later and then they'll like apologize. Sorry, I didn't finish the whole video when I commented. And I'm like, sick, double comments, but thank
Exactly, I was
you.
gonna say, but that's double the engagement,
Yeah.
so who's really mad about it?
So they like people are like the comments are such a part of the experience. So if you're asking the question in the beginning, you're asking the question in the comments, like the question is so prevalent, they're going to, be engaging with it. So,
Mhm,
and to, like I just said, follow up those comments, follow with engagement back. This is such a massive opportunity that I feel like people like I like people just aren't taking advantage of this. And it's the easiest way to push your content forward
mhm.
because the comments, the engagement, they all matter. And engagement breeds more engagement. I can't tell you how many followers I've gotten because I've responded to a comment.
Mhm.
They commented, I commented back, they commented back to me, they followed me. They're like, this person is actually, they're not just posting and walking away. This person's posting and they're sitting here and they're having a discussion with their followers. That's so much more valuable than, you know, here's my video and deuces, especially in this industry where people, the questions that they're asking you, they want answers, they want help. And if they feel like you're just not there, why would they comment in the first place? There is no incentive to do that. But if they feel like there is a genuine back and forth that they can be engaged in, that is going to breed more engagement. This is one of the fastest ways to build an actual engaged, growing audience, and you can do it in a number of different ways. You can like comments, you can
Mhm.
comment back to comments, you can pose questions. I think that most comments that you make back to someone should end with another question. Like try and get
Yes.
another comment out of them. Try and
Right.
learn more about that person. Keep that conversation going. But I
I see that
love
too. Like,
go
be
ahead.
genuine, but, like, if you can say if someone's like, "Oh, love this," and you just say, "Thank you," that's the end of the conversation. But if you say, "Oh my gosh, thanks. I wasn't sure if I wanted to post this or not. Glad you liked it." Then they could be like, "Oh no, great. It was awesome. You should do more of this." Like, even if you're not like a question is the best way, obviously, but you can do it more naturally. And I just say, like, try to give them something to react to so they keep coming back. Because once you're personal and you open that conversation, they're going to come back and keep conversing. And then that's what turns into follows and to further engagement in the future.
Imagine, if someone says, "Hey, I love this video. This was super helpful," and just asking, "Thank you so much. What part of this was helpful to you?"
Mhm.
Now I'm doing 2 things. I'm engaging back and I'm getting more engagement, more comments, but I'm also learning about this person and how close are they to buying a home? How close are they to needing to file for a loan? Like I'm
Mhm.
I can kind of be nurturing this like, cold to warm lead and see like is this person someone that might want to work with me, you know?
And you might be getting more content ideas because if you can identify the part of your content that resonates with people, redo that. Like just do 5 different videos. I mean, space them out, don't drill it, but if
Yeah.
if someone's like, "Oh, this is the part that really resonated. I hadn't heard that before." Wait a week or 2 and then make a video again being like, "Oh, hey," and like, "Reminder, this is my favorite strategy for doing this that you might not have heard of." And if you reframe it, it takes what, like 7 repetitions to remember something. So it's okay to recycle content, but especially if you can identify that it's valuable. It's
Mhm.
hard when you're just kind of like, "Oh, I'll just throw everything back out there and hope it does well again." But if people are telling you, "This was really helpful. I didn't know this," that's the content that you want to take and say, "Okay, let's
Yeah, if you
begin."
make a video of like, here's my 5 tips for X, and someone says, I had never heard tip 4 before, boom, that's a new video. Go make a video just on tip 4 next
Mhm.
week. And like again, like you said, you're getting the feedback in the comments. So take that and utilize it. Find a way to create more content with it. Um, Another great way to get more engagement is with stories and story features.
Mhm.
This is like such an underutilized thing in terms of like trying to like grow an audience. I think people kind of view this as like, I just like throw stuff up, you know. But there's so much opportunity with stories that's not really there with other things. Stories kind of give you this way to reach your audience in a more like natural, off the cuff, spontaneous way. Um, and with the type of posts that don't always make sense for the feed,
Mhm.
like something that's not going to be relevant 24 hours from now, those things are going to go in stories. If I'm
Right.
saying like, "Hey, I'm at this event right now and, I'm looking forward to seeing so and so." Like that doesn't make like why would I put that on my why would I put that on my feed?
Right.
But if I say I'm looking forward to meeting so and so and I tag them and then
Mhm.
they see that and then they put that on their story and then I run into them and we do a video like a quick story video to get how great is that? Like
Mhm.
I just like created this whole new thing and their followers are gonna now see you. Like there's so much
Right.
opportunity there. And the
And I think
features
oh,
oh,
sorry, go ahead.
sorry. Well, I was gonna say, and then the features that are available to you within stories, most of them are just there for the engagement anyway. Things like
Yes.
polls, Q&As, Like, I love the kind of like ask me anything type stuff where you can like
Mhm.
post a question and then people just give their answer.
Mhm. Or even
What's
the
the
polls, so they don't have
Yeah,
to type anything. They can just you can get feedback just by them tapping a button.
yeah. Like what's the biggest thing holding you back from buying a home right now as a question? And then give like 3 or 4 of the number 1 things that you're seeing and see what you get back. And
Mhm.
again, not only are you just getting great engagement, but you're also going to probably get some replies and you're
Mhm.
also going to get an idea of what's the market like, what is the average home buyer running into?
Right.
Like,
You can
is
even
it
stack those. Like, you could do the question that says, "What are you facing? Here's an example." Then take someone's answer and then put a poll to say who else is dealing with this. And then as you get answers and polls, you're creating A, engagement, B, different people are seeing, "Oh, this is different problems," and then turn that into a video. Take all of that and say, "Hey, I did a poll in my stories. Here's all the answers that I got. Let's talk about it." And that's just so much content. And I think it also feels less risky and more personal. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably that it's not permanent, right? Like stories disappear in 24 hours. So I think we feel more comfortable sharing things just randomly off the cuff memes that I liked, a funny video I saw, something relatable. I'll just throw it up on my story because then it goes down after 24 hours. And if people like it, great. If they didn't, whatever. But then I think on the flip side, people also feel better about engaging with it because it's not a comment that's going to be permanently living on the feed for everyone to see.
Mhm.
It's like a DM or a response to a sticker, and I know it goes away. So it doesn't feel, I don't know, there's some barrier to giving people engagement. It's interesting because I feel it too sometimes. Like even liking someone's story, I'm like, ooh, I'm not that invested.
Is
Like
that
I
a
don't
little
want them
too
to know.
personal?
Yeah, like, it's too personal. I don't wanna like their story, which is silly, but if you can give people more personal things to relate to, I think you'll find that they'll react, they'll DM, and my biggest tip is if you're reposting something, like you're sharing a meme or you're sharing a reel or whatever that especially if it's not yours, make sure to add just a little bit of text on it. Like, add your reaction, be like, "I thought this was hilarious," or, like, laughing emoji or whatever, because I think when you just reshare it, it's again a little bit of just like throwing something into the void, whereas when you say, "I thought this was funny," someone else will probably DM you and be like, "This is gold. I'm glad you shared this. This is also
Yeah,
hilarious. We share a sense of humor." Whatever it is. But if you don't react and you just put it up, they're probably just gonna laugh to themselves and be like, "Huh, funny," and move on. Maybe you'll get that like on the story. But if you put your text on it, they'll be like, "Okay, you were into this. I'm into this. Let's talk about it."
exactly. Yeah, I love stories underutilized, and it's a great way to get that kind of like quick, simple, I think casual engagement, which I think casual engagement's so valuable because there's no kind of like there's less inhibition behind it. People don't feel like they have to like they're not putting a comment on a public page. It's like I'm just having this conversation with this person.
Mhm.
So I think it changes things a lot. Okay.
Yes.
When we talked about the first 5 seconds of a video, the
Mhm.
first like 1 to 2 hours of posting a video is crucial.
Yep.
And we get this I get this question constantly. I feel like every time we do one of these webinars, someone asks a version of this question. What's
Yep.
the best time to post? Um, Stop listening to people telling you the best time to post because everyone is wrong. Everyone is wrong. If you see it on Hootsuite, if you see it on, Buzzsprout or whatever, like none of them are accurate. They are
Or
accurate
they
to
are accurate to their own data.
they're accurate to the data that they have. So if you don't have the same data that they have. So
Mhm.
what you can do and what I tell everyone to do is go into your personal analytics and it will
Yep.
tell you when your audience is online. It will tell you when your audience is engaging with your content because the best time to post your content is not when Hootsuite tells you to do it. It's when your audience is telling you the best time to do it is. When you get the most engagement, that's the best time to post. And your analytics is what's going to guide you and show you the way to do that.
Right, because your audience is gonna be very different. Even, like, the big Hootsuite buffer, whatever, they have a bigger pool to pull from, but that's all different ages, all different demographics, all different areas, all different time zones, all different industries, and so if they're giving you, "Oh, post anytime 9 to 5 on a Monday, and that'll do better than a Friday," maybe, but that's maybe not your audience, and if your audience, let's say we know most of our loan officers work 9 to 5, right? Or work long hours. So are they going to be on Instagram scrolling at 9 a.m. maybe, but maybe not. So I like to say, okay, when do I think people are going to be online? I go online when I'm on my lunch break, when I get home from work, and before bed. Those are my like big times that I'm online. So that's when I like to post. And maybe, your analytics will tell you if you're right or not, but start with educated guesses. In my opinion, start with when does it make sense for people to be online? Then look at your analytics and see what they're telling you, and then tailor it to your audience. Because like you said, it's just the big ones aren't always, they're going to say, yeah, but they're going to give you really generic and really conflicting times too. I always find those really funny when I read them.
Yeah. My favorite thing too is that all of these articles that give you the best time to post, they never give you the time zone. They're always like 4
Right.
p.m.
And you're
Like
like,
4
what?
p.m. when?
4 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Like
And
that's
it
a really
just goes to show that because that vague 4 p.m. is them basically saying like, look, like, around this time.
right.
They
Around.
don't have a clear-cut answer. So this is
Yes.
what the best thing you can do is post your content, feel out the best time to post. This is what I did for my account.
Hmm.
I posted content and I tried different times. I tried in the morning at 7 a.m. I tried in the morning at 9 a.m. I tried at noon, and then I tried at 2:30 and 5 and 7. And I would just kind of post different times. I'd post like 1 to 2 videos a day, try different times. And for a while, I think because you and I would talk a lot about,
Oh yeah.
here's what I'm doing, here's how I'm working on this. I was doing noon and 2:30 for a while. And I felt like
Hmm.
my noon video would do fine, but my 2:30 one would really do a lot
Hmm.
better. So I
Right.
was like, okay, I'm gonna start posting at 2:30.
And we
Well,
figured out, we were like, maybe that's because you're hitting the 5 p.m. Eastern and the 2 p.m. Pacific. So you're hitting the late lunch people on one coast and the off work people on another who are, in New York taking the subway to home. Like you
yeah.
never know. It's a guess, but we
And
kind of
what
were sit there and go,
exactly. And so what I started seeing was that I'd get this initial bump, but then you could see in my views that it would slope off and then
mm,
it would pick back up at like 5 to 6 o'clock. And I'm Pacific time, so it'd bump back up 5 to 6, and it would generally go really high after that. So I was like, that initial bump's nice, but what if I started just posting at like closer to 5, like 4:30, 5 o'clock? And that has been prime time for me now because
mhm,
I'm getting people who are commuting, they're on their way home. I'm getting people who are like eating dinner by
yep,
themselves. Yeah, I
yep, staring at
assume.
their phones. We've
Yeah,
all been
who are like, they're eating a bowl of ramen and they're just like on their phone in
there.
like
Mhm.
mountain and central time zone. And I'm getting people who are like, the night has wound down. It's, 8
You scrolling
o'clock
before
on the
bed.
East Coast. And they're so like you kind of have to like envision it and do a little bit of like assumption,
Mhm.
but you just iterate from there. And it
Right.
just it just takes a little bit of work and being willing to say not every post is going to go crazy, like not every post is going to explode.
Right.
I just want to post to create content that's valuable, create content that people will engage with, and learn from there.
Well, and I think that's the key too, is it's always a good excuse of, "Oh, I just posted it at the wrong time and that's why it didn't pop off." It's like, well, if it's really good content, it'll probably do decently regardless of the time you post because people are engaging with it. But if it's not doing well no matter what time you post, that's kind of an indication that the content is the issue. And maybe that's you're missing a hook, the video is too long, the topic isn't hitting with people, whatever it is. But like you've said, when something's good, it lives in the algorithm longer as well, because as people engage with it, it comes back. And that first hour, I will say, is where I think it makes the biggest difference. Because when you post, the first hour after is the algorithm trying to figure out what to do with your content. Is it
Hmm.
good? Is it not? Do people like it? Are they engaging? I don't know. So even if you like it, comment, share it, maybe get your colleague, your desk buddy, your mom. I get every time. I'm always like, I send it to my friends and I'm like, well, everyone just like this for me really quick. And that's all it takes is just a couple likes to get things started, especially when you feel like it's valuable, good content. And then as that ball gets rolling, it'll either stay consistent and pick up or it'll drop off and you'll be like, oh, okay, that wasn't resonating beyond the people that I got to like my things.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, finding people that you can kind of connect with, share with. We talked about this yesterday. There's, find some mutuals, people that are doing the same thing as you, on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever. Connect with them and say, "Hey, I'd love to share some of your videos. Feel free to share some of your videos with me, and like, I'd love to engage on your stuff." And the more that you do that, we'll talk more about this in a second, the more that you're going to have a good time posting. Um,
Yes.
and then, so yeah, that early engagement is crucial. I generally, so I have two accounts. I have like my secret personal account, and then I have my one that I push as a creator. Every time I post, I go to my personal account, and then I go and I share, I save, and I
Mhm.
comment with my personal one on my creator account.
Yep.
Just a little tiny extra little bump. I know it's not much. I'm just one person, and the app knows that I'm the same person. But like, it's just a little bit something to kind of like get the ball rolling, and then I'll
Mhm.
share it with, you know, my family. I'll share it with my wife. I'll share it with some friends, and then I'll go into my creator account, and then I'll go and share it with 5 or 6 creators that I engage with a lot, and I'll say, "Hey,
Mhm.
I'm curious to get your like drop your take on this. I'd love to hear what you have to say." Cuz
Yep.
they want to create content too. So they'll go and stitch my video. They'll go comment
Mhm.
like I'm giving them I'm teeing up the opportunity for them to be creating these more content with super simple like prompts and hooks. So
Yes, and I always like to say be the hype person in other people's comments that you wish you had in yours, because that's always just gonna teach people, "Oh, this person has commented on, like, 3 of my videos, I should go at least watch one of theirs," because that is people understand it is a relationship, and so you don't have to guilt people into it, but if you start by leading by example, it's gonna make people think of you more favorably.
definitely.
I'll really quick, I'll tell you one trick of the trade that I've learned is Instagram stories does not allow anything over 60 seconds long. So if you're doing a short form video that's over 60 seconds, it's not going to go to Instagram stories without you splitting it up. But what I always tell everyone is go share that video from your feed to your Instagram stories, and
Mhm.
that's going to push people to that video also to your page. So just a trick of the trade, that is the number one. Why is this not going to Instagram stories? Well, it's 90 seconds long, so that's why. But always share it to your story, any post you make. It's just a little bitty extra thing that's going to get it out there to more people.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I love resharing reels to stories too because it tells people because stories surface at the top of
Mhm.
everyone's feed and you get kind of bumped up to the front. So if you can do that, it's kind of a good way to tell people, "Hey, I did post," or "Hey, I do have a reel if you want to go see it." And then they, automatically even when they're looking at everyone else's stories, they'll probably see 10 seconds of your reel and if your hook's strong enough, they'll tap into it and then you get that engagement on a permanent piece of content
Yep.
instead of a story that disappears after 24 hours. So
Yeah, let's talk about reactive versus active engagement real quickly. Ashley, I'm gonna throw this one to you.
yes, this is my favorite because I think this is the engagement. When we say engagement, most people think of reactive engagement and they say, oh, well, I do respond to all my DMs and I do respond to all my comments. So, like, there, I've done it, right? Engagement, check. And that's where I say, oh, well, you've done half of it. Like, that's, yes, that is a good place to start. But active engagement, which is kind of what we're saying about being that hype person for other people, to me, that's how you actually signal growth and you actually show other people, hey, I'm going to leave thoughtful comments on your content. I'm going to go interact and react to your stories, whether that's clients, peers, colleagues, the agents you want to work with, or agents to the LOs you want to work with. If you are interacting with them, they feel valued, they feel validated, especially with story content, because we all put stuff up on our stories and then go, I don't know. What should I
I don't
have
know if
shared
anyone's
this?
gonna see this.
Right. I don't know if anyone's going to care, but whatever. I'll put it out there. If you're the person who's always liking, even if it's just that little heart and you just tap the heart every time, I have people where I'm like, you always heart my stuff. And I appreciate you because I feel seen. And I feel like even if you're not DMing me over it, like it feels worthy to put up on my story now because I know that you're going to like it too. And so even if you're just that person that you do the little emojis or you heart it, but especially if you DM and you go, this is so funny. Where did you find this video? Or oh my gosh, I saw this too. We must have the same TikTok algorithm or whatever it is. If you can make those connections, people are going to respond and then feel like, oh my gosh, you know who I am. You pay attention. I feel validated. I feel seen. And then again, they're going to want to reciprocate with your content. And then also it makes you more memorable. And so then, especially for loan officers and agents, when they go, oh, hey, my mom's niece needs, or I guess that's my cousin, whatever, someone random needs a recommendation or a referral and we don't know anybody, maybe that person that's always DMing me and responding to me, I'm going to say, oh, well, I've never worked with them, but I know this person and they have great content. So you can go watch their videos. And if they seem like someone you want to work with, I would recommend them because we all like doing that. So I would just say, don't just stick to active engagement, or reactive engagement, also make sure you're doing active engagement. And that doesn't just mean with clients. That also means with people in the industry. That means peers. That means loan officers, agents, all the people you work with. When you create that network and that community, they're going to see that, and then they're going to be engaging with your community as well. And then it gets stronger, and it just benefits everyone. More engagement for everyone, which is the best.
I can't remember if I have it in this slide deck, but one of the biggest things that I talk about is this exact thing, which is, and I kind of mentioned this briefly earlier, people posting and then walking away.
Oh, yeah.
If you post and walk away, why would anyone want to engage with you if you're just posting and then you're leaving? You're not doing reactive engagement, you're not doing active engagement. But the other thing I mean when I say about posting and walking away is that you shouldn't just be stop viewing. Actually, I think that is in this slide deck. It is. I'll hold off on that point. I'll come back to that. But finally, I want to talk about going live here. This is real-time engagement. This is, we're seeing some comments here from people, so we appreciate that. We got Katie, we got Joe, and it allows an opportunity to, and Ashley's getting hearts. Like there's it's an opportunity for a back and forth between us and and you and your audience, and and when you do an Instagram live and you do a TikTok live and you're just sitting there and it's just you and you're like, hey, I'm open. Let's have some office hours. Let's chat. I've seen so many people get followers from going live. It's such an explosive way to gain an audience and grow an audience.
Well, to relate
because
to people.
yeah, because it's so personable. It's just you. There's no editing. There's no cuts. There's no breaks. It's just you sitting there talking. People get a sense of who you are, your personality. You're answering things on the fly. So if you're able to answer something, a question you're getting on a live, and you're not sitting there looking up the answer, like people realize, oh, this person's genuinely knowledgeable about this. Like it changes the way that people see you when you go live.
Yes.
Now, going live can be a little bit tricky because like getting started, there is like a threshold on TikTok to going live.
True.
It used to be 1,000 followers. I think they've dropped it now to like anywhere between 500 to 800 followers. Instagram, you can go live anytime, which is great. But one of the best things about it is that it puts you first in the story feed. If you're seeing this on Instagram, if you go to your account and you go to your homepage, you'll see the story feed. SocialCoach right now is the first one in the story feed because we are live. And it's the same thing on TikTok. Like TikTok wants to push live video. And so the opportunity to go live is one that can get you in front of a lot of people rather quickly. As long as you're not doing it in the middle of the day on a Friday.
Like we are.
Yeah, like we are. So find a time when your audience is present and engaging, and do your TikTok lives there. I mentioned to you, Ashley, that I have a friend who has been trying to grow on TikTok, and he was like around 6,000 followers, and he was trying to get to 10,000. And he noticed that his followers were online mostly at midnight his time.
Which is surprising to me, but I could see it for certain audiences.
So he's East Coast. So he is probably seeing like a lot of like 9, 10, 11 o'clock people. And so he was like, if I want to grow, I'm going to try going live every day at midnight for 1 hour. And he did that, got to 10,000 in like a week. He got like 4,000 followers in a week because people realized how personable he is. He made his lives like very, very fun. It's just such a valuable way to grow.
Well, it feels like making a friend. Like the one thing I'll say about lives is just to have something in mind when you go live. Like either I love when people are like, hey, I'm at my kid's baseball game, ask me questions while I'm watching, because it gives people multiple things to react to, right? Either I can ask questions about homeownership or whatever, or I can be like, what's the score? How long's your kid been playing? Like there's things you can relate to. But if you just get on live and you just sit there in silence and wait for people to do things, no one knows what to do with that. If I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh, this person's just sitting in the dark staring at me. That's weird. So I would at least have like either visually something behind you, visually something you're doing, or come with like, hey, I want to talk about this topic. What do you guys think? And it might take a few minutes to get people in there, but that's when, as soon as you see people popping in, you want to be talking about something so that they have something to engage with.
Mm-hmm. Bottom line here is all engagement is just creating a dialogue. And that's what social media is designed to be. It's, when you change your idea of posting to I'm marketing to I'm trying to have a conversation, it will change the way that your social media works for you overnight. It'll change the way that you view it. It'll change your results. Posting and walking away is not going to work. You need to be an active participant, participating back with the people that are following you, participating with the people in the industry that are on social media. You know, if you're not participating on these social apps, there's so much you're leaving on the table in terms of trends. If you're not on TikTok and you're trying to post on TikTok, but you only go on there to post your little video, you're not seeing what everyone's talking about. You're missing little opportunities that are going to be available to you.
Hmm.
Think of every single post as a seed. You're putting a seed in the ground and hoping it grows into something, grows into some kind of lead. The engagement that you are performing, the engagement to you, the engagement back, all that is the sunlight and the water that's nurturing that seed to where it can lead to a lead. It can lead to fruit. And the more that you engage on the platforms, the more that you're on those platforms doing things, the more that you will then understand the ground, the soil that you're planting that seed, you're planting that
Hmm.
post in. And if you can't spend the time to just take a little bit, I say spend 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. That's all you need to do
That's it. It doesn't
to
have
get
to
it.
take a while, and it doesn't always have to be a post either. Like, I know people are like, "Oh, does that mean I have to post every day right from the get-go?" No. Think about if you find a really viral post, like, let's say you see something on TikTok and someone's saying some incorrect information, and you comment on it, and you say, "You know what? Like, that's not actually true. As a loan officer, this is what I know." And then people like your comment, and then your comment becomes the top comment, top liked comment. Everyone sees that when they're engaging, and then they go to your profile, and then they check out the content you have. Like, it doesn't always have to be that your post going viral is how you get engagement. It's the whole system. And social media is a conversation. And it is kind of like a virtual conference, right? You're constantly networking, you're putting yourself in front of people. Your videos are still working for you even while you're at your desk job, during the day and you're not focused on it. Your videos are still there and people can still be finding them. So I like to tell people it's the new thing is like if you're not on social media, you're a little bit invisible
Hmm.
because no one knows where to find you. If you're not in the phone book anymore, you're not in newspaper ads anymore. Like, how are people going to discover you if they know nothing about you and they don't know your name to Google it and find your website? It's social media. They're going to find a video or they're going to see a comment or they're going to see that you're connected to so and so and okay, let me see what they're about and what content they have. And the more you have on in your content bank on your feed that they can just go and see who you are and what you're about and relate to you, that's going to get you quality leads and get you people interested in you without you having to spend all that effort just sourcing it yourself. It's just doing it for you because you're already doing it and then they find it and it's great.
Yep, it's the best. All right. Well, here's, to recap, emphasize short video, start strong, especially with that hook. Feel
Mhm.
free to use questions as your hook. And I said, think about questions you're getting all day, use those.
Yep.
Spend time to engage back with your audience. Try to utilize stories and story features, and then use your analytics to help guide you. Um, so I know we don't really have time for questions. We do got to run, but feel free to message us, support or send us an email, support@socialcoach.io. We'd love to
Mhm.
help. I'm also going to be going live on our Instagram later today.
Yes.
So if you are if you have some questions around social media that you're wanting, to get answers to, today at 2 o'clock Pacific time, I will be going live on Instagram. Feel free to ask any question that you want around social media. I'd love to answer those for you.
Yes.
So yeah,
And it's
and
at socialcoach.io on Instagram. We're Social Coach on LinkedIn, and we're also the Social Coach app on TikTok. So if you want to come find us anywhere, we have a lot of content that's about social media tips. We have a blog with 47 real estate post ideas, a bunch of mortgage ideas, how-tos for how to get started on TikTok and Reels. We're just here to be a resource. And we know that a lot of people want to get started on social media, especially in our industry, but don't always know how. So hit us up in any of the channels anytime, and we're happy to help.
yep. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
everyone.
Bye, guys.
Happy Friday.